Hello, 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 Mactics here today, so please excuse me if I get a little harder to understand by the end of the video. Damn, that's good. And today we have a build that we have actually already gone over on the channel in the past, but is now significantly better than it was back in the day, and it was pretty strong back in the day. And the reason that it's significantly better now than it was back in the day is because of a recent patch that has changed how Warlock constructs, aka Warlock buddies, work in the game, as they now count as grenades for the purposes of stats and perks, one of these specific constructs being Hellion. And the reason something like that is so important is because with the most recent stat rework, where you can get bonus grenade damage by investing in the grenade stat and getting it over 100 points, if you get up to 200 points, you will receive a 65% bonus damage buff to your grenades, which will also now apply to your Hellion Solar Buddy. So since we've already gone over this build on the channel and haven't changed too much about it since we initially went over it, we'll run through it really quickly so we can get right into some gameplay to show you how you want to play it and to show you how strong it is. First of all, we've got the Yunoya Exotic Gauntlets. If you do not have the Yunoya Exotic Gauntlets yet, the only way to get them is by owning the Edge of Fate expansion and by heading to Kepler and doing the Sieve Arena activity right here in the middle of the map. And unfortunately, it is only available at certain times of the day, at certain time periods. So if you don't have it yet, just be sure to keep your eye out, and whenever it is available to run, go ahead and run it on your Warlock, and you'll be able to get those exotic gauntlets just like that. And these gauntlets, as you can see, relatively simple. Hellion projectiles deal increased damage the further they travel, eventually fracturing into scorching shrapnel. So the main idea with this build is that we're juicing up our Hellion, making it significantly better. It's going to do significantly increased damage with a high grenade stat, and the entire idea is that we want to continuously refund class ability energy, so we can always be using our Phoenix Dive class ability to be able to restore our Hellion, which is active for a total of 20 seconds anytime we use our class ability. The other aspect we're going with this build is the Touch of Flame aspect, which is going to empower whatever grenade that we are using. To be completely honest, I think, you know what? I don't really know exactly what grenade is going to be best here. Our options are Healing, Solar, Firebolt, and Fusion. I don't really feel like Healing Grenade is going to be the move, considering that we get plenty of healing through spamming our Phoenix Dive. But I am wondering what is going to be the best choice when it comes to picking between Fusion Grenade, Solar Grenade, and Firebolt Grenade. So before we continue with this, let's just do a quick little damage test to be sure we know which one we want to be walking forward with. So let me reset our damage calculations right here. Throw a little Fusion Grenade. Boom, boom. Looks like we get approximately 2,000 damage. Not half bad. Then we'll give a try to the Solar Grenade. Worth noting that both the Fusion Grenade and the Solar Grenade scorch enemy targets, so you will be able to take advantage of any scorching effects regardless of which grenade you go. We go ahead and throw the Solar Grenade and let it sit on that target. Okay, the Solar Grenade, like, is literally 2.5x the damage of Touch of Flame Fusion Grenade. Am I saying that right? Wait a minute. If I throw that bad boy right there, cook him up, cook him up, cook him up. Yeah, it does about 4,000 damage, and then it hits an ignition for another 1,000 damage. Compare that to Fusion Grenade. Let me see one more time. If I'm not mistaken, it only did like 2,000 damage. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Solar Grenades. I'm not gonna lie. While enemies do move, dude, they can move as much as they damn well please, man. Solar Grenade does 2.5x more damage with Touch of Flame than Fusion Grenade, according to me throwing them right there. I'm gonna go with Solar Grenade for this one. That seems juiced. Next up is our melee ability. We talked about this previously when we were putting together this build. In terms of neutral gameplay, whether you want to go between Incinerator Snap or Celestial Fire is rather inconsequential because we're not using our melee ability too much with this build. However, if you are using the Song of Flame Super with this build, which you will have active and available quite often, then your melee choice actually does matter when it comes to which melee you have active while you're in Song of Flame. We did this testing a while back when we first tried out this build and found that Incinerator Snap, when you're using it with Song of Flame, does significantly more burst damage and overall damage compared to that of Celestial Fire. Even though you do need to be a little bit closer to the target, it's well worth it to go Incinerator Snap over Celestial Fire when you're using Song of Flame. If you do want to, however, you can totally go Well of Radiance if you want to play a bit more of a support role, and in that circumstance, you go whichever melee you prefer, a little bit more damage for up close versus a little bit less damage, but more range. Now moving to the fragments, we are first looking at the Ember of Ashes, the #1 best fragment for this build, where we apply more Scorch stacks to targets. Any source that we throw at anything that is going to scorch targets, primarily going to be our Hellion, our Scorching Shrapnel from our Eunoia, and of course our Solar Grenade, which is going to scorch targets trapped inside, and actually our melee as well for that matter, both Incinerator Snap or Celestial Fire scorch targets. They are going to apply 50% extra Scorch stacks, which is just going to lead to more overall damage and more overall ignitions, which is super important in a scorching and igniting centric build like this. Next up, we have the Ember of Singeing, where our class ability is going to recharge faster anytime that we do scorch targets, which is key for making sure we have maximum uptime on our Phoenix Dive, which subsequently means we have maximum uptime on being able to have Hellion, since Hellion spawns anytime we use our class ability. Next up is going to be the Ember of Resolve, which is particularly good with this build considering the most recent patch, where Solar Grenade Final Blows cure you. That is not only going to be applicable to our Solar Grenade Final Blows, but is now also going to be applicable to our Eunoia Solar Buddy, our Hellion Final Blows, since that now officially counts as a grenade. For our final fragment, we have the Ember of Char, where in addition to receiving 10 bonus grenade stat, which is going to be equivalent to approximately a 6.5% grenade damage buff, both for our Solar Grenade and our Hellion Solar Buddy, our Solar Ignitions are also going to spread Scorch to afflicted targets, which makes our AoE significantly stronger. Now, you might be thinking right here, hey, what about something like the Ember of Torches, where anytime I land a powered melee attack, I give myself Radiant? Well, in this particular season/expansion, that's not really necessary, considering we have access to the Fever and Chill artifact perk, where rapid precision hits with solar weapons are going to grant you Radiant. Once we exit this season/expansion and we no longer have access to this artifact perk, if you place a lot of value on having Radiant on your weapons, then I would encourage you to either drop the Ember of Resolve if you feel like you can still stay alive without it in favor of Ember of Torches, or if you want to drop an offensive side of the build, you could drop Ember of Char in favor of Ember of Torches if you value a little bit more weapon damage over having more spread to your ignitions or your Scorch. Me personally, though, even outside of this expansion, if I don't have access to that artifact mod, I'd probably still run these exact 4 fragments no matter what and just be fine giving up on Radiant. Now, as far as your stat distribution goes, the #1 thing you want to worry about the most is having as much grenade stat as possible, getting as close to 160 as you can. As you can see here, I'm at 159, so that's pretty good. The reason we don't want to go to 200 is because we're going to make up that remaining 40 points with our armor mods, which I'll talk about in a brief moment. The other thing that we really want when it comes to our stat distribution is a minimum of 60 to 70 class stat. Reason being is that with 60 to 70 class stat, in conjunction with the class ability energy gains from Ember of Singeing, where we get bonus class ability energy regeneration whenever we scorch targets, this makes it so that you have your Phoenix Dive available approximately every 18 to 20 seconds, which means you have your Hellion up every 18 to 20 seconds. And since Hellion itself lasts for 20 seconds, this ensures that you have 100% uptime on your Hellion Solar Buddy, and that it is never down. It's always by your shoulder, firing out the scorching projectiles, spreading Scorch, and spreading ignitions. After that, you can either invest in the super stat, which will have higher super uptime. You can cast more Well of Radiances or more Songs of Flame, or you can invest in the weapon stat so that your weapons just do more damage to mini bosses, elites, red bars, all that good stuff, which is going to be particularly nice in underleveled content. If you're at -30, -40, doing conquest, things of that nature, can feel really, really good to have that extra weapon damage. As far as armor mods go, on the helmet, I really like going with a Dynamo mod where we reduce super cooldown when we use our class ability near targets. You might be asking, why would you not want to use an Ashes to Assets mod where you gain bonus super energy on grenade kills, since the Hellion now counts as a grenade? And the reason for that is because there's a lot of situations where either the scorching or the igniting is what gets the final blow, as opposed to the projectile from the Hellion itself, and those things will not actually proc this mod. So I found that I was getting significantly more mileage out of running something like Dynamo when it comes for super energy, because I'm casting my Phoenix Dive so often to re-obtain the Hellion. I was getting a lot more super energy from that than I was from running Ashes to Assets. hence my choice of Dynamo. I'm also going with a Harmonic Siphon mod so that our rapid solar weapon final blows are going to create an Orb of Power every 2 kills with the solar weapon. Orb of Power for us, which is going to be important for picking up for having armor charge stacks. You'll see why in a bit. And then either a heavy ammo finder or a special ammo finder, dealer's choice. Down on our gloves, we're going to be going with a firepower mod, so our grenade final blows create orbs of power. I know I just previously said that your Hellion doesn't frequently actually get the final blow, it's more so the scorching or the ignitions. However, considering this mod can only proc once every 10 seconds, you definitely get a proc every 10 seconds. You get a situation where your Hellion actually does land the final blow, or even your solar grenade itself will land the final blow. Nice to be able to generate orbs of power through that and have them pop up here and there. The other 2 slots we are going to give to grenade font mods, which is how we're going to get an additional 40 grenade stat to take us from 160 to 200, or 159 to 199 in my case. This means that anytime we are armor charged, all the more reason to generate orbs, we are going to be at 65% bonus grenade damage for both our solar grenade and our Hellion solar buddy. Down on the chest piece, I like going to concussive dampener, and you can either go 2 elemental resistances depending on what the damage is of the enemies that you're fighting, or you can go with a solar ammo generation to increase the ammo generation of solar weapons. Since we're using a solar primary ammo weapon for this build, that will go ahead and make it so that anytime we get final blows with said solar weapon, we'll get bonus progress towards our special ammo and heavy ammo meters. Down on the boots, double solar weapon surge for a 17% weapon damage buff for solar weapons whenever we're armor charged, which hopefully is all the time, so we can also take advantage of these grenade font mods, as well as a solar scavenger mod, since we are using a solar heavy weapon in this build. We'll get there in a second. Finally, on the class item, Reaper, so that anytime we use our Phoenix Dive, next weapon final blow will make an orb. Powerful Attraction, so that Phoenix Dive will scoop up all the orbs as well, and we'll get to collect all the armor charge from it. And Time Dilation, so that all of our armor charge stacks last for 15 seconds instead of 10, so we get more mileage out of our solar weapon surges and more mileage out of our grenade font mods. It is worth noting that this mod combination is only possible if you have a tier 4 or tier 5 piece of armor to have 11 energy. If you're tier 3 or lower, you'll only have 10 total energy capacity, and you'll probably instead have to swap the Time Dilation for maybe something like a bomber or an outreach instead, or you could drop the Powerful Attraction for one of those mods alternatively. Finally, for weapons, biggest thing I recommend is a solar energy weapon, specifically something that has things like Demolitionist, Incandescent, Burning Ambition, Heal Clip, something that gives you a decent amount of utility to either ignite or scorch targets to take advantage of your fragments, something that gives you grenade energy back, or something that can keep you healthy. I've been really loving this Ahab Char, Heal Clip, and Burning Ambition. Feels absolutely spectacular. I've also been loving something like the Yeartide Apex if you were playing during Solstice. Something like Demolitionist and Incandescent is awesome on this bad boy with this build. Or what is currently available now, something like the Mida Mini tool. You can go something like Heal Clip Incandescent, Attrition Orbs Incandescent, something of that nature. Frenzy can even be a nice one to run in a pickle. It's completely up to you. There are a lot of good weapon choices for this. Special weapon, completely whatever you want. I've been really loving Mint Retrograde, probably the best legendary weapon in the game at the current moment, but dealer's choice up here. And then finally, for our heavy ammo weapon, I really love Dragon's Breath with this, specifically because rockets embed themselves in struck targets and periodically eject incendiary fuel that inflicts scorch. The reason Dragon's Breath is so good with this build is because the scorching of Dragon's Breath can also take advantage of the Ember of Ashes and get 50% bonus scorch stack application, which is going to lead to significantly more ignitions from the Dragon's Breath. Unfortunately, at the current moment, this weapon is not a piece of featured gear, so you won't be able to use this in avant-garde stuff or conquests, and so you can totally swap it out for something else. You definitely don't have to use Dragon's Breath with this build, but I think it feels pretty solid. If you have a different idea for what you would want to use in that slot, or maybe you want to use an exotic up here or in the energy slot, be my guest. So with the build put together, I think I'm going to do one of my favorite things that I've been doing to test out builds recently is by doing the Fire Team Up Battleground Delve. It is ridiculously enemy dense. There are so many enemies on it. I've been running it solo, and if a build can tackle it solo on ultimate difficulty, I typically like going, let's do -25 with this build, because why not? If it can tackle Battleground Delve, which is ridiculously enemy dense on ultimate difficulty at -25, I feel like it's fair to say it's a pretty decent build. So we'll just throw on some Banes to get +20, so we're at 495 and the enemies are at 520. Let's go ahead and run it up and make sure it's as solid as I'm saying it is. So key thing here is making sure that I'm always scorching something to make sure that I'm proccing that Ember of Sinjin, so I'm getting the bonus class ability regeneration. So right as my Hellion, as you saw, was 1 second left, my class ability had just come back up. I'm gonna throw my solar grenade on that guy, who doesn't really seem to want to move outside of it. Let it cook him up. Let's hit this again. The nice thing, too, about having so much class ability uptime... Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, okay, okay. Maybe it was a little too ambitious. That's what happens when you indulge in a Marg right before you try to do a build. Alright, I'm actually gonna shoot a Dragon's Breath so I scorch something. And so I can get my class ability back. And so now I have my Hellion back, and there we go. We're back in business now. I'm gonna pop the Song of Flame. Just so I'm basically invincible, because we do have access to it very frequently. You get a ton of super energy with this build. And I'm gonna rush this guy just to get him out of here. I probably should have shot a Dragon's Breath at him now that I think about it, actually. I'll do that. Throw a Solar Grenade at that guy. Hit a dive. Let's get this Barrier Servitor out of here. Alright, now I have my super back, so if things do get hairy, I can just panic pop. Like right there. Ooh, this looks juicy. Let me hop that so I get my Unoya up. Break all the barrier shields on these guys. Stop shooting at me! Hit a little dive. This is another situation where we maybe went a little too deep, but it's okay. Why is that guy so tall? Alright, let's hit a little dive. I'm gonna throw a Dragon's Breath. I'm probably not using nearly as much Dragon's Breath as I should be, because we get so much ammo for it. And it auto-loads itself whenever we scorch enough stuff. Or rather, when we ignite something with it, which is going to be a lot. Oh, sorry, I know it might sound crazy, but I'm kind of used to not really ever using a heavy weapon because I always have an Eager-Ed sword on instead. Let me make sure I hit a dive. Alright, I'm a little deep right now, but I think it's probably maybe okay, sort of. Let's throw another Dragon's Breath so we get that scorching napalm strike out. Yeah, rotate around a little bit. And we are getting blasted by... Dude, these ships are actually the worst. I think, like, it's not my fault. It's the ships. I repeat, it is not my fault. It's the ships. Alright, I think we have a Dragon's Breath inside that guy. Let's put a Dragon's Breath inside that guy. Okay, am I still getting shot at by the ships? Because this is ridiculous. Well, I'm taking the guns off the ships, man. Yeah, yeah! Alright, I'm popping Song of Flame. I'm done with these guys. Wow. Is this like my 4th Song of Flame already? Alright, note to self, in this next room, I need to use much more Dragon's Breath. Because it's basically always up and always loaded. Alright, let's hit a little Phoenix Dive. And we're just going to keep on shooting. Let Unoya do some work. Hit a dive to get our health back. I don't like that Cyclops. I think there's another Cyclops as well somewhere. Yup. Trauma from those guys from Epic Desert Perpetual running the room. Alright, if I'm not mistaken, there's gonna be more Cyclopses that spawn. There they are. Alright, let's hit that again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3. And I'm just gonna throw a Dragon's Breath down there in the pit. I'm gonna throw a Solar Grenade, and then I'm gonna pop Song of Flame, and then I'm gonna break all these guys' shields. And then I'm just gonna... okay, I'd be lying if I said I knew what was going on at this current moment. I'm just kind of... I'm hitting all my buttons. And it's kind of working, I think. It seems like it's working. That's an overload. Let's stun him. That's a barrier. Let's stun him. Now let's Dragon's Breath. Now let's... Ah! Dive! Okay, that looked like it worked, right? I'm alive. The enemies are not. All right, I would really appreciate a Phoenix Dive. Thank you. All right, you're probably going to put a shield up. I'm going to throw a Dragon's Breath at you, and then the Dragon's Breath should kill both of those guys. And then I'm going to pop that. The Dragon's Breath did kill both of those guys. And then I'm just going to kind of run in and start blasting. Oh, there's Wyverns. Hello. Let's do a Dragon's Breath. And we'll dive, and we'll throw a grenade. And, oh, my Dragon's Breath is back. Oh, there's no more Wyverns. Oh, Dragon's Breath. Yep, this one. Okay, I figured out how to use the build now. It's a little strong. It's a little powerful. Margarita time. Ready for this? Boop. All right, if I'm not mistaken, we get him, we do a little bit of his health, and then he spawns like a bunch of servitors. Yeah, I think these ships spawn servitors. Yeah. Okay, so the plan was to shoot a rocket at that servitor, but I completely missed it. So... Time for the panic pop. Whoa. This room is, where we really enter Margarita mode. Not that I would ever indulge in beverages while making build videos. That would be irresponsible. And I'm the most responsible. He seems preoccupied. No. Stand still. Thanks. Alright, so that should scorch him up. And then that lets me dive. I think for more difficult content, you could argue that a healing grenade would be a good call. I don't know. You really have your super up so often. Like, super's up all the time with how much super energy you're getting. Come on, man. Let me live. Oh, they let me live. All right, we're gonna keep slinging Dragon's Breaths because we have a lot of them. And then we have some barrier hobgoblins. Break their shields. And that's gonna give us another super. Oh, we only have a minute 40. Come on, do your teleport. I know what's gonna happen. It's gonna happen right when I shoot, isn't it? Yeah. Real cute, buddy. Let's do one of those. Hit a dive. Double overload stun. Kill both of those and the... Jeez. Alright, I'm just gonna try and do as much damage as I can. And then... Okay, never mind. I trolled a little bit. The plan was to do as much damage as I could and then panic pop right at the end and try and one-shot him. But I think I can still do that. Because I have 40 seconds left until my timer expires. So I think the plan is basically hit that. Panic pop. We're going to hit a dive as well. And I'm basically invincible in here. Yeah, even with the Wyvern blasting me, it doesn't matter. Solo ultimate minus 25 with time to spare. Thank you very much. So yeah, as you can see, solid build before, even better now with the recent changes. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy using the build in-game. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed the build. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see future ones. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.